Welcome back everybody for another video of Virtual Warfare, text-based roleplay fighting tutorial series. And today's video we're going to be looking at how fight, how Zen fights, and some of the methods that I use to fight, so I'm not going to try to make this video too long and complicated. So without further ado, let's go. So as you can see, the first thing I would put interest in is the scene. I would write out the scene, how, whatever the scene you want to make it. You can make it long. I try not to make it long because a lot of people don't like filler. A lot of people don't like people who boast about writing so much, but most of it is filler. So if you're gonna add detail, don't boast about being someone who can write a lot of detail, because most of it is just unnecessary anyway. So this is writing the scene, whatever. So as you can see, it's a sunny day. The sky was clear, the temperature was warm, and the rays of the sun heated up the grass. So this is the scene. And then I would start working on my position, where Zen is coming from, where he's going to be at, blah blah blah. So as you can see, there was a man named Zen, blah blah blah. He walked into the field, blah blah blah. So the next thing I would put interest in is my weapons, my abilities, my appearance, blah blah blah. So I would start talking about who Zen is and what he looks like, some of his weapons, his abilities, stuff like that. So pretty much putting everything on the table so people can know what my character is about and what he's going to use in a fight, and stuff like that. So the next thing, of course, when it's my chance to attack, this will be how I would attack. So this is what I wrote is in simple form. So I can pretty much write more than this, but this is pretty much just the gist of what I'm trying to do during the battle. So first I would say that I noticed the tree. This is very important. You want to say that you've seen the tree. You don't want to just charge at your opponent without saying that you've seen your opponent first. This is an error that a lot of people make, and try not to make this error. So seeing the tree from 100 feet away, he dashed at the tree supernaturally, moving at 50 feet per second. So I use this type of how should I say, equation or calculation to show distance and speed. So if the tree is 100 feet away and I'm moving at 50 feet per second, so simply it would take approximately 2 seconds to get there. So it's just pretty much simple. You don't have to put the miles per hour precisely and all that stuff like that. You could just give an illustration of how fast something is moving, how far away it is. So the next thing I was work on is the prep. So while I'm approaching my character, I will work on gathering my energy or gathering the tools to get ready to attack my opponent. So during my travel, I briefly charged my energy with a heavy burst of effort. So this is important, a heavy burst of effort, because I talked about the laws of exertion, light, medium, and full. So I'm using a heavy burst of effort. But before I reach the tree, I'm slowing down to have to stop 10 feet away. So I don't want to just say that I ran and then stopped 10 feet away. I want to show that I slowed down. I want to show some type of effort of me slowing down, and I also want to show some type of effort of me putting concentration into gathering energy. Well, I don't want to just say that I'm charging energy, but I want to say that I'm also using a particular amount of effort to charge energy. So this will how should I say, this will correlate with the magnitude that wants to be released, or that I'm going to be released. So the next one is fulfillment, pretty much why I'm doing these things, why I'm approaching my opponent, why I'm charging and prepping my things. So it says in that motion, me stopping, he shifted his arms forward and shot out a blast, the size and consistent density of a bullet train moving at 300 miles per hour, attempted to obliterate it. So I used the illustration of a bullet train. So if anyone have a common idea of what a bullet train is or what a bullet train looks like, there goes my the physics of my my beam or my energy that I'm shooting out. I don't have to give a precise, accurate measurement of every single corner, every single measure speed and for the beam. You know, I could just give a general illustration of what it looks like, how fast it is, how powerful it is, and you know, and leave it at that. You know, and since I charge with a heavy burst of energy, you know, the magnitude seems right. And also, this is the point I wanted to make about the heavy using heavy exertion to gather this energy. When I do pronounce that that I use a type of focus, this is an extra step that I have to input. Therefore, if my opponent does decide to attack me or interrupt me during that time, I would have to stop my concentration, then have to notice my opponent, and then have to attack to, or you know, notice my opponent and then stop the focus, then attempt to proceed to defend against it. You know, so these are the elements or steps that I have to go through in order to react to my opponent's action. You know, whereas if I was just standing there watching my opponent doing nothing, you know, I can just notice my opponent and then react to his action. You know, I don't have to stop a focus to do this. And also, the reason why it's important to, for me, you know, people who use virtual warfare, it's important to add a certain level of focus, because this also expresses how much awareness that your character has in the outside world. You know, so if you're focusing with all your, you know, for pretty much all of your mental abilities or mental capacity, you know, the awareness in the outside world is pretty slim, you know. But if you're doing it with a light exertion, you know, you can have a more awareness of the outside world and still be able to charge your energy. You know, it won't be as fast or powerful as you would with a heavy exertion, but you would still get the job done and still be aware of your surroundings, you know. So this is pretty much it. And the next one is hypotheticals. You know, I don't really add hypotheticals because, you know, anything can happen, you know, and I'd rather spend my time making or preparing for my opponent to respond and getting ready to, you know, write, instead of writing an actual hypothetical in character and then sitting back and, you know, hoping my opponent would lean toward one of those hypothetical and be, you know, and gives me to the upper hand. You know, this is something I don't do, because also my opponent can exploit one of those hypotheticals. So if I say that, yeah, I kick, and then if my opponent ducks, I sweep kick, whatever, you know. So my opponent say, you know, I see that he's going to sweep kick when I duck, so therefore when I duck, I'm going to prepare to do a certain move while I'm ducking. So I'm going to catch his foot, because I know when I'm ducking, he's going to sweep kick. So I'm going to catch his foot while he's doing it. So this is dangerous to add hypotheticals, because your opponent can exploit them to their advantage. You know, for me, you know, the outcome is unpredictable. So I just let the opponent attack, and whatever he's going to do, I lead off that. So I always prepare myself. Okay, so after I shot my blast, whatever my opponent is going to do, I'm going to build a general defense or build a general avoidance. So whatever my opponent does, he can attack me, he does this. I know that first I have to step out of my focus and then notice my opponent. So therefore, I would start building my scenario around that first. If he decides to interrupt me during, or, you know, after I'm projecting my energy, so I would start building my counter on that, you know, and then whatever the opponent gives me, you know, I follow up on that, you know, and that pretty much, you know, how I would start to fight, you know, and that's pretty much the end of the video. I just wanted to give a hands-on view of how I fight and how I carry out the methods of roleplay fighting when I'm engaging, you know. So this is some of the methods that I use, and stay tuned for more videos about some of the projects that I'll be working on. I'll probably compile some videos, some old videos that I have, and just post them just to share them and stuff like that. And, you know, pretty much it. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see everybody next time. Deuces!